They say blood is thicker than water. In my experience, money is thicker than both. I have spent the last 20 years proving that a father isn't the man who donates the DNA, but the man who stays when things get hard. My name is Michael. I'm 55. I own a successful chain of hardware supply stores. I'm not flashy, but I've done very well for myself. When I met my wife, Cheryl, her daughter Jessica was 3 years old. Jessica's biological father, a man named Travis, had taken off on a motorcycle to find himself and never came back. He didn't pay a dime in child support. He didn't send birthday cards. He was a ghost. I stepped in. I wasn't just a checkbook. I was a dad. I taught Jessica how to ride a bike. I sat in the front row of every terrible dance recital. I paid for her braces, her first car, and her 4 years at a private university. I loved her as if she were my own flesh and blood. Cheryl and I had a good marriage, or so I thought. We were a team, but looking back, I see the pattern. I was the provider. Cheryl was the spender. Michael, Jess needs a new laptop for school. Michael, we need to redo the kitchen. I always said yes, because that's what a husband does. Then came the engagement. Jessica got engaged to a nice kid named Ryan. I liked Ryan. Jessica wanted a fairy tale wedding, a destination wedding at a historic chateau in Napa Valley. The estimated cost was astronomical. Roughly $200,000 when you factored in the travel for the family, the designer dress, and the 5-course meal. It's her big day, Mike, Cheryl pleaded. You know Travis never did anything for her. Let's show her what a real father can do. That line got me. A real father. So I agreed. I signed the contracts. I put down the deposits. I was ready to give my little girl the world. Part 2. The return of the prodigal dirtbag. 3 months before the wedding, the ghost returned. Travis. He rolled back into town. He looked older, leathery, and still acted like a teenager. He claimed he was clean now and wanted to reconnect. I was wary, but I didn't want to be the jealous stepdad. I told Jessica, "It's your choice." Jessica melted. She was captivated by him. He was the cool, mysterious dad who played guitar and told stories about living in a van in Mexico. He didn't have a job, and he certainly didn't offer to pay for a single napkin at the wedding. But suddenly Travis was at dinner every Sunday. Cheryl seemed oddly charmed by him, too. They would laugh about old times while I cleared the table. I started to feel like a stranger in my own house. I was the guy paying the bills, while Travis was the guy bringing the vibes. But I swallowed my pride. I told myself, I'm the one walking her down the aisle. I earned that. Or so I thought. Part 3. The spreadsheet. The betrayal didn't happen in a dark alley. It happened in an Excel spreadsheet. 2 weeks before the wedding, I was in my home office organizing the final vendor payments. The wedding planner had sent over a shared Google Drive folder containing the seating charts, the run of show, and the script for the ceremony. I usually just looked at the invoices, but for some reason, I clicked on the document titled Ceremony Script, Final Draft. I scrolled down to the processional section. I expected to see bride escorted by father of the bride, Michael. Instead, I read bride escorted by Travis, biological father, Michael to be seated in row 2 with guests. I froze. I thought it was a typo. Then I opened the seating chart for the reception. The head table, the table for the parents and the bridal party. Seats 1 and 2, Cheryl and Travis. Seat 3, Michael, stepfather. Wait. Seat 3 was at a separate table, the extended family table. They had kicked me off the head table. They had replaced me with the man who abandoned them. And I was paying $200,000 for the privilege of watching it happen from the cheap seats. But then I found the email thread. It was archived in a subfolder the planner had accidentally left shared. It was a conversation between Cheryl, Jessica, and the planner. Jessica: "Mom, how do we tell Mike he's not walking me? He's going to be crushed." Cheryl: "Don't say anything until the day of. Or maybe the rehearsal dinner. He's already paid the vendors. If we tell him now, he might pull the funding. We need to secure the bag first." Jessica: "Okay. It's just, Travis is my real dad, you know? It looks better in the photos. Mike is great, but he's just Mike. He doesn't fit the aesthetic." Cheryl: "I know, honey. Plus, Travis and I have been talking. Maybe after the wedding, Mike and I can take a break. I think I still have feelings for your dad." I stopped reading. My heart didn't break. It evaporated. I wasn't a father. I wasn't a husband. I was a financier. I was the bag they needed to secure. Mike doesn't fit the aesthetic. I looked at the invoices on my desk. The final payments for the venue, the catering, and the florist were due in 48 hours. I sat in silence for a long time. The anger was cold and heavy. They wanted a show? I would give them a show. Part 4. The Silent Treatment. I didn't confront them. I didn't scream. I acted like everything was normal. I smiled. I asked Jessica how the dress fitting went. "Oh, it was magical, Mike," she chirped. I looked at Cheryl. "Are you excited for the big day?" "Can't wait," she smiled, texting Travis under the table. I went to my bank. I moved money. Then I called the wedding planner. "Hi, this is Michael. I see the final payments are due." "Yes, sir. Shall I run the card on file?" "No," I said. "I want to handle this differently. I want to host a special toast at the rehearsal dinner tonight. I'll have a check for you there, for everything." "Oh, wonderful. That's so generous." "Yeah," I said. Generous. Part 5. The rehearsal dinner. The rehearsal dinner was at a fancy Italian bistro. About 40 people. Close family and the bridal party. Travis was there, wearing a suit I'm pretty sure Cheryl bought him with my credit card. He was acting like the host, slapping people on the back, drinking the expensive wine I paid for. Cheryl was glowing, sitting next to him. I sat at the end of the table, quiet. Halfway through the meal, Ryan, the groom, stood up. He was a good kid, innocent in all this. He thanked everyone for coming. Then, Cheryl tapped her glass. "And now, Michael would like to say a few words." She smiled at me. It was the smile of a predator looking at prey. She thought I was about to write the final check. I stood up. I held my glass of water. "Thank you, Cheryl," I began. My voice was steady. It's been 20 years since I entered this family. I've watched Jessica grow from a toddler into a beautiful woman. I've tried my best to be a father, a provider, and a mentor. Jessica smiled, dabbing her eye. Travis looked bored, checking his watch. "Planning this wedding has been a massive undertaking," I continued. "A $200,000 undertaking, to be exact." A few gasps from the guests. They knew it was fancy, but not that fancy. "I was happy to do it," I said, "because I thought I was doing it for my daughter." I paused. I looked directly at Jessica. "But recently, I learned something interesting. I learned that I am not the real father. I learned that I don't fit the aesthetic of the wedding photos." Jessica's smile faltered. Cheryl went stiff. "I learned," I raised my voice slightly, "that Travis here is walking the bride down the aisle tomorrow, and that I will be sitting in row 2. I also learned that my wife Plans to leave me for Travis as soon as the bag is secured. The room went deathly silent. You could hear a pin drop. Travis looked like he wanted to bolt. "Mike, stop," Cheryl hissed. "You're drunk." "I'm drinking water, Cheryl," I said cold-bloodedly. "So," I continued, reaching into my jacket pocket. "I had a check here for the remaining balance. $150,000 to cover the venue, the food, the flowers, and the band." I pulled out the check. I held it up. "But since I am not the father, and since I am apparently just an ATM with a pulse, I am resigning from my duties as financier." I ripped the check in half, then in half again. I dropped the confetti of paper onto the table in front of Travis. "Travis, since you're the real dad, I'm sure you'll be happy to pick up the tab. The venue manager is waiting in the back office for payment. They need it by midnight, or the doors don't open tomorrow." Part 6. The Meltdown Pandemonium. Jessica started screaming. "You can't do this. The wedding is tomorrow." "Ask your real dad," I said calmly. "He lives in a van. But maybe he has a hidden fortune." Cheryl lunged at me. "You selfish bastard. You're ruining her life." "You ruined it," I said. "When you wrote that email. I read the folder, Cheryl. I read everything." Ryan, the groom, stood up. He looked at Jessica. "Wait," Ryan said. "Is this true? You kicked him out of the ceremony? After everything he did?" "It's complicated," Jessica sobbed. "No, it's not," Ryan said. He looked disgusted. "Mike paid for our college? Mike paid for our apartment deposit? And you spit in his face?" Ryan took off his ring. He placed it on the table. "I can't marry into this family," he said. "I'm sorry, Jessica, but you people are monsters." Ryan walked out. I watched the chaos for a moment longer. Travis was already sneaking out the back door. Spoiler, he didn't have $150,000. I walked over to Cheryl. "I canceled the joint credit cards this morning," I whispered. "And I changed the locks on the house. Your bags are on the porch. You can go stay with Travis." Part 7. The Aftermath. The wedding was canceled. Obviously. The venue didn't get paid, so they kept the deposit. My loss, but worth it. And canceled the event. Jessica tried to blast me on social media, calling me abusive. But Ryan, bless his heart, posted the truth. He explained exactly what she and her mother tried to do. The internet sided with me. Jessica was humiliated. She had to move out of the apartment because she couldn't afford rent without my help. Cheryl tried to sue for alimony. But the evidence of her conspiracy to defraud me, the emails about securing the bag before divorcing, didn't look good in mediation. We settled. She got very little. Travis? He disappeared again about 3 days after the disastrous dinner. He realized Cheryl was broke and Jessica was a mess, so he rode his motorcycle into the sunset. I sold the big house. I bought a smaller place near the lake. I bought a boat. I named it The Aesthetic. Every time I take it out on the water, I think about that check tearing in half. It was the most expensive sound I ever made, and the most liberating. I lost a wife and a daughter that night, but I found my self-respect. And honestly, that's a trade I'd make any day of the week.